Welcome to another TV with the Sony Xperia Z3, which is an amazing smartphone because it's waterproof, thin, light, has the latest hardware inside, and there's also a smaller brother label, the Z3 Compact, which I actually even like a little bit better, but check out my review about that. We will do a little bit of a comparison with other premium smartphones also at the end of the video, but first we'll check out this beautiful piece of hardware here in Germany, where it's available soon for I think $700 with really a slim design, big battery, and this makes it one of the best smartphones actually out there, as you will see when we take a look at the camera, which has, like in the Z2, the 20.7 megapixel camera built in. Then we have a flashlight, beautiful Sony logo, NFC and Xperia logo here on the bottom. Then we have also a docking station port here because it's waterproof, and otherwise you really have to open up always here this little flap to charge it via micro USB. That's that. So you have to always keep that close to make it really waterproof. You can add a little strap here, so you can put this around your neck or where you would want it, maybe on your arm. You have two speakers on the front, which are quite amazing, as you will listen to or hear in a few minutes. Then also here on the top we have the sensor for light, and if it's getting close to your ear, and then there's also 2.2 megapixel front camera, which can also shoot full HD video as far as I know, but I haven't actually tried that much, but it should do that. On the front you can also see the 5.2-inch full HD screen, which is totally enough. You don't need a 2K, like for example in the Note or the latest other phone, the LG G3, which we will also compare it to. If you go to the other side, you can see that we have a dedicated camera button. That's what other companies don't really do. Volume control, on and off switch, and there's again here a little flap which you have to open up to get to the micro SD card slots. You can extend that internal 16 or 32 gig internal memory, or also here you have also the SIM card slot where you have to pull out a little plastic thingy like that to put in your nano SIM card, which is the same as you would have in the latest HTC One M8 or the iPhone since the 5 or 5S. There's also an off button right there. Don't know what that's for. Hardware off if that wouldn't work, I guess. And then even though it's waterproof, we have a complete open 3.5mm headphone jack, and also right next to it a little microphone. Now on the back we already have shown you everything, and on the bottom there's nothing, so I guess the microphone for talking is built in close to the speaker here. And if you turn on the device, you can see how quickly it turns on after I press the button. I really find that amazing because also with the Z3 Compact, these are the two smartphones that turn on the fastest. And you can actually also use double tap. You don't even have to press the button on the side to turn it on, and you can see how really fast it turns on after I double tap the screen. But there's no double tap for turning it off, like for example the LG. But you can see how beautifully the screen looks like. Again, only Full HD, you could say, on 5.2 inches. This is the maximum brightness right now, so it looks quite beautiful. But we can actually go down with the brightness quite nicely to a really low level, which I love also about the smartphone, because you can use it really quite good at night or in a club or anything like that without having the screen really shining too bright in your face. But let me switch back here so we can see here everything on the screen, and you can of course also say to automatically change the brightness, but this preserves actually a little bit power if you do it for yourself, if you don't use it of course on the maximum. So there's quite a few apps installed, standard Android apps. There's also PlayStation apps, since we can use a few PlayStation games on here, and also of course the gaming controller, which is Bluetooth. Then you can see that we have a live log app. The camera we will use a little bit later. Then also you can track some music like Shazam, but only with a Sony app, which is quite, of course, also could be handy. And also if you go a little bit on, then there is a quite nice thing called Xperia Launch, where you get free movies, music and other stuff every month as a premium Sony user. You can use Sketch, you have an antivirus program, and you can also use free navigation with the Garmin app right here. And I only installed these three apps, where I want to start actually with Antutu benchmark, since we talked a little bit about hardware. There's 3 gigs of RAM inside here for the Full HD screen with the Snapdragon 801 processor, but still in this benchmark it gets less points than the lower resolution, smaller display, 2 gig of RAM, but same processor, Sony Xperia Z3 Compact. So if you go to the ranking, to the list, you will see that here we have 44 4195, and here we have 41,772. Which means that this one is better than the S5, 1M8 and Note 3, and the Sony Z3 is just a little bit better than the Note 3. All the other ones are quite a little bit better, but actually who cares about these points? As long as it's fast, blazing fast, it doesn't matter that much, as you will see when we play a little bit Temple Run. So otherwise, of course, we have a great camera, so let me show you in the album some shots that we made with the camera in the last few days. First of all, I don't know if you know this animation, but I love this a lot. You can see here different dates, or actually it's ordered by months, and then you can just go here, I want to see September a little bit closer and check that out. Or if you're all the way on the top, you can see here some footage already playing in a little slideshow, which is of course also alright. So I took this underwater, of course, since it's a waterproof phone, and here are the results of some pictures that I took of the Z3 Compact with the Z3. So you can see that we are underwater on my shrinkly fingers here at a public pool. There's of course also video. This was with flash, so it looks a little bit different. There is a leg right there. And yeah, that shot I also took underwater of my body, which is of course a little bit blurry here, but if you look at it from afar, an underwater shot, and you can see it here on the surface, really it's underwater, it's really quite good. And there's also of course a video where we were underwater and I showed just how to pick up the Z3 Compact, which was on the ground. And you can see here that person swimming in 4K. So actually this footage you can watch in big in 4K, like this video on YouTube. It's in my channel. And of course I took also some regular footage, not only underwater but during the day, for example, of a beer. And here again, beautiful quality. I didn't try to really make it sharp, but if you just check out here this little text on the beer bottle, you can go here quite closely, and it says Hackabschor Himmel der Bayern, which means Hackabschor is this beer. It's the heaven of the Bavarians. So that's an Oktoberfest beer, looking, I guess, quite tasty for you guys. I will drink one later maybe, but first I have to pick up a new iPhone. And then here at low light, again, beautiful pictures here without a flash of, for example, Red Bull and some vodka. And also the same goes for video in low light in 4K. I can show you a little bit here in the club that we can nicely shoot the vodka from close without a flash, and you can also see the people, even though there's not much light here in 4K. This video is also in my YouTube channel online, so you should check that out. Of course, regular footage is also to come, like just of a garden or where the sun is shining. Right now it's raining outside, but it's alright. So let's just try out a little bit the camera to show you guys how easy it is to use and how quite well it works. Now, as you can see, I can't find the camera here on the screen. I haven't put an icon here, but what I can do is just press the camera button and we can shoot a photo right away. You can also do that if the phone is off and you don't have a password. You can just easily shoot right away a picture, for example, here of the Z3 Compact, and you can really see how fast it focuses by just pressing it a little bit, and then you can check out the result here of the beautiful Z3 Compact that's lying on the Z3 box. So yeah, you were able to see the camera from the back, so you can see it's really quite fast. I love it. It adapts quickly to the light, but I have a really bright light here shining a little bit into my face, and therefore the front camera with 2 megapixels and full HD video mode, if I just press the shutter button here, has not that much great light here on this side, but you can still read everything quite nicely on my camera here on the bottom, which is also looking good if you check out how detailed it is. And also here my beard is of course quite nicely in detail. But what if I want to have more options, not just point and shoot? There is a few options that Sony gives us which are quite awesome, like for example multi-camera is brand new. You can connect 2 smartphones with each other and use one smartphone to do pictures with both on your device, so they will communicate with each other and then send the picture on one. There's also the possibility to put your face in a picture, so it uses the front camera and the back camera at the same time. You can see that here. I can adjust that where I want to have it and make it bigger and smaller, and then yeah, that's of course maybe interesting to have. And also for the most people, I think the best option to shoot is if they know a little bit what scene they want. For example, fireworks here at the end, or they want to shoot a pet, or snow is also not that easy because it's really light or white or anti-motion blur. You can set here a lot of automatic stuff, but there's also the possibility to change your ISO, your white balance and so on. So you can see here a little bit how the color changes if I just go here through all of these, but these are actually the most settings. Otherwise, these are the settings you will get on all the other features like smiley shutter, self-timer, focus mode, HDR, ISO, metering, image stabilizer, and here in the settings we have quick launch, use volume key as zoom, volume or shutter, and there's also my favorite option here is touch block. No other company thought of that, or I haven't seen it yet. When you want to use a smartphone underwater, usually the water presses all kinds of crazy shit on your smartphone, but when I go here to my regular photo mode and say touch block, here we go, then what happens is I can touch the screen anywhere I want and nothing happens. Which is quite cool, except for, of course, you can unlock it here on the bottom, but the water won't do that. But I have actually some water here. So if I would want to shoot a picture or a video underwater, I only have to press the button here on the top, because you have a dedicated camera button. Or of course you can set the camera button here also on the volume control. So I can just put here my device in the water, nothing happens. The device doesn't react or anything. I know I should go a little bit lower, but this is too small. And I also can use my wet fingers, nothing happens. But what you can actually do with your wet fingers here on the Sony Xperia Z3 is you can still use the screen. So I can unlock it. Here we go. With wet fingers the screen works, which is quite cool. Because if it's raining or you are in a shower and you want to change your music or you want to quickly answer somebody something, it works. Of course the screen can be too wet. Right now it's really wet, but you can see it still works quite nicely. But usually the small little water just goes off, or if it's raining really hard, it doesn't even stick on the screen, which is of course quite cool. So you can just leave it like that. Doesn't matter that it's actually here a little wet, since it's a waterproof phone, unless you don't close all the seals here tightly, which you should always. And maybe get a dock, which costs only 20-30 bucks, and you can use it even better like that. So what else? It's waterproof, it has a great camera, and it also has here a great keyboard, which is always important for me. Especially because I love to use Swipe. I fell in love with Swipe 3 years ago when I had a Sony Xperia Array. So Swipe means you can't only type like that, but how I love to type is just like Washington, there we go. Or I can write something like DUY or suit, I'm sorry. Or I can't ever listen of any words like Xperia also. Yeah, it knows Xperia. Or if I try to write my name, Ballage, it doesn't know it, but what I can do is teach the phone my name, B-A-L-A-Z-S, that's my name. I can press it right here, and next time I do this, it knows my name. Quite cool, huh? So you can teach it also different languages, you can use it smileys and so on and so on. So yeah, that's just the keyboard. And if we press this button, you still have your other features. Like you can use active clip and so on and other things. Touch block is also available here. And you can add some more apps, but more on that on my tips and tricks. And you can also turn the phone on by double tapping and then unlocking. But what I want to show you now is the music. Music is my moves control. So let's just play some music. Turn up the volume. And you can hear it really sounds quite good. Let me go to a song that you maybe know a little bit better. Maybe it sounds even better than the HTC M8. I will do a separate video on that later. But yeah, I think that sounds good enough. So yeah, that about the speaker, really great quality there. And yeah, you can't much say about this phone anymore because everything is quite good. I can also just, as you can see, start really quickly here to play. The sensors work also good. You can see it here when I just move it around and the person here moves with. And I can just here jump down and die, so you guys can see that it's really a good phone. And yeah, you should definitely consider buying it. You could even consider more buying the small one because the 3100 milliamp battery in here is good, but the 2060 are even better since the smaller screen needs less power, and you'll be able to see it even has more power in it when it comes to hardware, as it seems. So yeah, actually I only want to show you here the size of both. 7.3 millimeters, 8.6 millimeters on this one. And look how much smaller it is. It's as big as an iPhone, so check out my Z3 Compact review. Till then, if I can show you here just the Apple iPhone 5S, there will be also, of course, an iPhone 6 comparison. You can see how beautiful that looks like. Here the sizes. I would definitely go with the Sony, the small one though. The thickness, I can't forget that. So you guys can see that the Sony is, of course, slimmer. Now there is, of course, the HTC One M8, which I should maybe turn on right here, and then we have also here. So you guys can see that 5-inch versus 5.2 inch. The HTC is actually maybe smaller, maybe the same size, I would say. It's a little bit thinner, but there's only 2600 milliamp battery inside, not 3001 like here. Both have metal design. Of course, Sony has glass in the back, and it feels a little bit, maybe even better. I don't know. It's definitely lighter with only 150 grams. And the cameras are maybe also better, but I think a bigger competitor is the Samsung Galaxy S5, which is actually 5.1 inches big in terms of screen size. It's also a little bit smaller. You can see it here maybe a little bit, but it's not much smaller. As you can see here, in terms of thickness, they're about the same, but there's a lot of plastic here. It's also waterproof. Nobody needs the fingerprint reader on the front or the heart rate sensor there. But what I actually miss on the Sony is there's no infrared port, but there's a comparison video about all of these smartphones also up online on my YouTube channel, so you should check that out also. Then we have the LG G3 with a 5.5-inch crazy big screen in a crazy small device. 5.2 versus 5.5, of course, Sony loses in terms of screen size, but it's also smaller, the LG, in terms of height. You can see it right here. It's only a few millimeters, but it loses, but the LG is a little bit wider. But again, only like 2 millimeters there, and in thickness, Sony wins, of course. And the battery is also bigger in the Sony than in the LG. LG only has here 3000 milliamps. Then, of course, Nokia is also still in the game, or now Microsoft. The Lumia 930 is a beautiful smartphone with a 5-inch screen, but it's not that much smaller than the 5.2 of the Sony. But also here, metal design all around, quite beautiful, but it's a lot thicker since there's wireless charging built in, and an amazing camera, but Sony has also an amazing camera, so we have to try and compare those in the future. But it's of course not Android. And then we have another Android phone here, which is the Huawei SN Mate 7. A huge phone, 6 inches, but it's actually not that huge. Let me just type in here my password, because if you look at the Z3, you can see it's not that much smaller than the 6-inch competitor here from Huawei. There's of course smaller phones also like the P7, but I actually like the Mate 7 because it's a really beautiful device and it also has good sound. I just accidentally started some music here, for example, so let's just turn it off. And it's also made all of metal, from metal, and really looks quite good. So this was a really short comparison, hands-on review and everything in one video here with the Sony Xperia Z3. Thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. I hope I told you everything that you wanted to know. If you want to know more, like comparing more even with speakers and display outdoors and so of other phones, check out my YouTube channel. There's more on the Z3, of course. So thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and maybe even use my Amazon link to buy it in the future when it comes out, also in the US.